Hello there. Good evening and welcome to another bumper package of our program, Abuja Dispatch. And like we always say every week on this program, this is specially created to bring to your living room those events, issues, and indeed those characters that have shaped the entire socio-economic landscape of the federal capital city, Abuja, in the last 1 week. ABUJA is my name. Let's start off with the review of those events that made up our headlines in the outgoing week.
President Muhammadu Buhari has charged the National Executive Council members of the All Progressive Congress to go and properly study the party constitution and re-strategize to reposition the party. Addressing members of the National Executive Committee at the APC National Secretariat in Abuja, the president called on them to respect the party's constitution, work with and use it as a guide in APC activities in their respective constituencies. The president noted and appreciated the commitment of the 9th National Assembly towards delivery on the party's mandate to the people of Nigeria. APC National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole stated that the party recorded victory at the last general elections at various levels due to the commitment and support of Nigerians who believed in the party and the candidature of President Muhammadu Buhari. While affirming Colonel David Imose as the Edo State APC chairman, the National Executive Committee members also passed votes of confidence on Adams Oshiomhole as the national chairman of the ruling party.
Winners of the last gubernatorial elections in Kogi and Bayelsa states, Governor Yahaya Bello and David Leon, have been officially presented to President Muhammadu Buhari by the APC National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole. Governor Yahaya Bello called on all ethnic nationalities in the confluent state to join hands with him towards moving the state forward. The governor posited that ethnicities are cogging the wheel of development, and with the wide margin with which he defeated his closest rival in the just concluded election across all ethnic divides, he believes that time has come for everyone, irrespective of party affiliations, to contribute to the overall development of the state. On the other hand, the governor-elect of Bayelsa State, David Leon, expressed his unparalleled commitment to abide by the rules of the contractual agreement he made with the people on the electioneering campaign podiums. While congratulating the two new governors-elect, President Buhari urged them to repay their people who had voted them during the elections massively with good governance and overall development.
The National Executive Council has called on the Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to institute a robust engagement with local communities where mining activities are being carried out in order to avoid the Niger Delta experience. This was part of the resolutions reached at this month's National Executive Council meeting, presided over Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo in the council chambers of the Aso Rock Villa. Following a memo presented by the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development during the meeting on the current relationship between the federal and state governments, the council called for further synergy and collaboration of all key players of the mining sector. Meanwhile, the council also set up an ad hoc committee to review the status of Power Holding Development Company with a view to improving its efficiency. The committee is chaired by the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, with members drawn from governors representing the 6 geopolitical zones.
Proceedings of 20th.
The Nigerian Senate has passed a bill that will ensure Nigerians pay 7.5% value-added tax beginning from next year, as against the current 5% being paid by consumers. The VAT increase bill is one of the 6 others sent by President Muhammadu Buhari under the title Finance Bill 2019. The bill was passed by the upper chamber after considerations of the report of the Finance Committee chaired by Senator Adeola Solomon, representing Lagos West Senatorial District at plenary. Senator Solomon, while presenting the committee's report, noted that the initiative of the executive in the finance bill, alongside the executive, the appropriation bill, was welcome and long overdue. In his remarks, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, said the National Assembly made history with the passage of the Finance Bill 2019. Chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, Adeola Solomon, further denied claims that the bill was intended to make Nigerians pay more in taxes. The Senate is expected to transfer the amended Finance Bill to the House of Representatives for concurrent passage.
Muhammadu Buhari has again affirmed the commitment of his administration to equity and fairness in governance. The President reiterated this while hosting the Conference of Speakers of Houses of Assembly led by its chairman and Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. The president said the government will leave no stone unturned in its effort to revamp the nation's infrastructure deficiency in the critical sectors of the nation's economy in line with the expectations of Nigerians. The Conference of Speakers appreciated the President's fourth alterations to the 1999 Constitution as amended, while among others gave financial autonomy to the state legislature and the judiciary. The group equally commended the genuine interest of Mr. President to an independent legislature as an essential ingredient for good governance by setting up the Implementation Committee on the Autonomy of State Legislature and Judiciary in accordance with the fourth alterations. The speakers of the state houses of the assembly therefore appealed for strict intervention of the president towards ensuring the full implementation of the amendment. The group used this interface to commend the federal government's sincerity in its fight against corruption and the success in degrading acts of insurgency.
Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, has charged the newly promoted senior officers to uphold the tenets of professionalism with a view to repositioning the force to respond to national security imperatives. Abubakar gave the charge during the decoration ceremony of 13 Air Vice Marshals and 35 Air Commodores at the force headquarters in Abuja. He said their elevation to the next rank is a call to service, especially at this period the nation is confronted with multifaceted security threats. The Air Chief added that human capacity development, which is considered topmost priority in his administration, is the key ingredient to operational efficiency. Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olonishaki, has also implored military personnel to execute their responsibilities in the pursuit of a lasting solution to the security challenges bedeviling the nation. Olonishaki made this known while decorating senior military officers serving at the defense headquarters with their new ranks. Represented by his Chief of Administration, Rear Admiral Apochi Suleiman, the CDS said more is expected of them to bring to bear their responsibilities in tackling the menace of insecurity.
Thanks for staying with us. The governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa states have come and gone, but the ripples and dissatisfactions created by these elections will stay in our body politics for a very long time to come. In the next two segments of our program tonight, we'll bring you electoral violence and the effect of this in our nation's body politics. Stay with us.
And 88% of polling units respectively.
Both domestic and international political sociologists, based on empirical investigations, argue that the greatest obstacle to democratic consolidation in Nigeria is electoral violence. This is as a result of the rascal politics that the political elites engage in. Sometimes the violence is intra-party, and most of the time it is inter-party. Apart from the fact that the phenomenon affects the credibility of the electoral system, the democratic system, and the rule of law, the nature, extent, and magnitude of violence and rigging associated with elections in Nigeria goes against the nation's commitment to demonstrate to the world and upcoming generation that Nigerians are, as a people, are capable of electing leaders in a peaceful and orderly manner. The credibility of the entire process could be questioned due to the overwhelming incidents of harassment and intimidation of voters and electoral officials, destruction of electoral materials, snatching of ballot boxes, votes, and the killing of persons.
We actually reported at this
Many neutral observers have reported that in the light of the large-scale acts of violence, disruptions of electoral process, snatching of electoral materials by armed persons, some of whom were dressed in police uniforms, coupled with the sporadic gunshots that scared voters away from voting centers, as observed by the Nigerian Bar Associations and other bodies, the recent governorship elections in Kogi State, in particular, fails to meet the minimum standards of a credible election. Bayelsa and Central Kogi are amongst the 7 states where governorship elections are held at different times from the general election due to court rulings. International observers who observed the Kogi and Bayelsa elections recently have expressed concerns about the conduct and conditions under which the elections held. For instance, the observers in a joint statement issued under the auspices of the Diplomatic Watch raised alarm over the reports of widespread incidents of violence and intimidation, some of which were witnessed by the teams in Kogi State. Sporadic violence marred the polls in two key Nigerian states, despite a heavy security presence after a bloody run-up to the elections. A total of 35,200 police deployed to protect some 1.5 million registered voters in Kogi, where incumbent Governor Yahaya Bello of APC was seeking re-election against Musa Wada of PDP and 22 other candidates. Many disturbances were still recorded. A boy was reportedly shot in the leg when a group of people stormed into a polling unit and snatched ballot boxes. Local reports also said some party agents were beaten up at another polling unit in the state. Even though the violence in Bayelsa wasn't of same gravity compared to Kogi State, there are still pockets of disturbances in some areas. For example, in Otueke, the hometown of former President Goodluck Jonathan, party thugs fought over the late arrival and distribution of voting materials. Notwithstanding the pockets of unrest recorded in some locations, the electoral umpire INEC has declared the Kogi State incumbent governor and candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Yahaya Bello, winner of the Saturday governorship election in the state. The APC candidate in Bayelsa State, David Leon, had on Sunday won the governorship poll in the state. Leon polled 352,552 votes to defeat his closest rival, Senator Dwoye Diri of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), who got 143,172 votes. President Muhammadu Buhari had since congratulated Bello and Leon for winning the governorship polls. While he described Leon's victory as impressive, the president said Bello's election was a race well run and a victory well won. He asked those who are not happy with the outcome of the polls in two states to go to court to seek redress. As it were, Nigerians are yet to experience a thoroughly violence-free poll till date, despite President Muhammadu Buhari's promise to reform the country's electoral system to ensure free, fair, and credible elections.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome to Split Views, another segment of our program, Abuja Dispatch. And on Split Views this week, we are having in our midst the Principal Programs Officer of the Center for Democracy and Development, Mr. Yusuf Shamsuddin. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me on the program, sir.
Now, let's look at electoral violence and Nigerian democracy. We witnessed the governorship elections last Saturday, and many people have been saying that the election in Kogi and Bayelsa was below the standard expected. What's your take?
I think the views of a lot of Nigerians is actually correct because we were in the field. The Center for Democracy and Development deployed over 300 observers to observe the election in both Kogi and Bayelsa State. And the report we got is actually disheartening. It's quite unfortunate that over 20 years of democracy in this country, return to democracy in this country, we're still experiencing that heartbreaking, and shocking experience. I think the situation in Kogi State, I think is the worst we've ever recorded in the history of elections in the country. I don't have my fact of, previous years before I was born, but the one I've experienced so far is actually the worst case. There was gunshot everywhere. I think some of our observers were actually caught in between violence in several polling units, and I think there are a lot of media reports that captured all these quite embarrassing experience. And, it didn't meet up the standard because the whole idea of election is for people to come out and express their mandates, express the choice of who they want to vote for. And it then means that there should actually be an enabling environment for them to be able to cast their vote. We experienced even the party agents, picking some of these observers, taking them to voting cubicle to vote. And we see practically, people buying votes, voting and queuing in the same polling unit to get money. So it's as much as we laugh over this situation, it's for us to come back to the drawing table, for us to rethink what needed to be done.
Now, let me ask you, you just call it an embarrassing situation. Now, electoral violence, why is it still sustaining? Why is it still persistent in our democracy?
It's the over-ambitiousness of the politicians. They want to win the election at all costs. I was somewhere yesterday discussing issues around hate speech and its proposed punitive measures. And the question I asked was that we shouldn't really look at the law itself, or the bill, or if eventually comes into law, passed into law rather. The fundamental thing is that who are the major actors, who are the peddlers of hate speech, who are the major actors who foment violence, who sponsor and support political thuggery in elections. These are politicians. And politicians want to win election at all costs. And if you look at how we have improved over the years, in 2011 we saw a lot of electoral reforms with the coming in of smart card reader. We say that actually cut down the incidents of ballot stuffing and ballot snatching. And you can see to a large extent how even the total number of registered votes voter turnout actually decreased compared to the cooked-off figures that we used to experience in the past. But politicians now see that as probably an impediment to electoral success. And what they needed to do is to disrupt the electoral process. And it's quite targeted, which also shows that politicians also go back to the drawing board and see what they do. They just need to map out stronghold of other opposition parties and to see how to disrupt the electoral voting process in that area.
But as of yesterday, I think we were opportune to ask the IG concerning this very question, that the part the security agencies played. But somehow the IG was exonerating the Nigerian police.
What do you expect from IG?
So, saying that the politicians sponsored some talks to be in police uniform.
No, it's quite... See, what we experienced, there were a lot of fake police. But fake police came to a polling unit to disrupt the process. And one of the first set of people to either pick race or stay aloof of the whole thing, actually the police officers. Then you ask, what is the responsibility of the police? Are they not to provide measures? You recollect that over 35,000 and something police officers were deployed for these purposes. For this purpose. And you also know that the entire state has only one on 239 ward collation centers. And the highest so far in PUs in any of these wards happens to be, is not up to 30. Like 25, we have like some a bit above 28, but most of these wards have less than 20 polling units. If you multiply everything, it means that more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers can actually man one polling unit. So if that is the situation, and if you see most of the assessments, security assessment reports from Kogi and Bayelsa already mapped out different locations where there might actually be crises, and some of the strategies that will be deployed by politicians to create an atmosphere of fear for voters and people who are playing critical and important role in these elections. This information is at the doorstep of this security. And you also recollect that the INEC chairman alluded to that in some of the press briefings, that the police is aware of these assessments and they will definitely deploy in a way that will be able to curtail the excesses of these political talks. But the experience of Saturday election didn't really show that these people are more, they are abreast of what the situation would look like.
Now, as it were, people are saying that, okay, there is need for this renewed
political education amongst the politicians, electorates, the people. Now, is that all we need?
Sometimes I laugh when we talk about political education. You educate people who are ignorant of situation or what is happening. These people, is a deliberate attempt or deliberate effort on the part of politicians. Not that they are ignorant of this. They do it deliberately because of their own political interest. So it goes beyond education. It's just about naming and shaming and ensuring that certain laws are implemented. The law says if you do this and that, most of this stuff comes to the polling unit. That's a polling unit in Kogi State that they announced that if you are here and you don't want to vote for this party, you are better moved out of this polling unit. They mentioned the parties. What are we doing? To what extent our security personnel trying to investigate who are the major, culprits behind, the activities of some of these talks? They will be arrested today and, released the next day. We need to interrogate this beyond the surface. We need to know who are the culprits, who are the people who are culpable of this, and who are the people sponsoring these political talks. And not until we have a frank conversation around some of these things, and we come up with frank resolutions on how some of these things.
Now, Mr. President has already congratulated the winner of the Kogi election and the Bayelsa election, and asked the agreed politicians to go to court. Now, what will you tell? I mean, are you convincing me, for instance, that the result of the tribunals and the court judgments will be okay for everybody?
It has never been okay for everybody. The thing is that if the judgment is not to your advantage, you continue to be aggrieved. But what we are actually clamoring for is for the courts to critically look at the issues, not in a sentimental manner. Okay, for example, a whole crowded school where we have the highest number of polling units, one of the highest number of polling units in Kogi State, the voting process was disrupted on Saturday. It means thousands of Kogites were disenfranchised on that day.
That's right.
And there are a lot of cases. We have videos. You also saw the local government coalition officer who came with 50,000 naira that he was bribed. And we've seen a lot of cases, violence erupted. I've also listened to one of the coalition officers, shouting and saying, some of these politicians just came in, they disrupted the entire thing. And the only thing they said was that, go to court. Because they believe that sometimes court judgment does not depict
the exact situation.
So it is how you're able to maneuver your evidences that determines whether you get justice or not justice in relative sense in the court of law.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
It's very spoken well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not going to make a mistake of attempting to have a third term or whatever term. Besides the age, I swore by the Holy Book and that I will go by the Constitution. The Constitution said 2 terms. I know I'm the last term, and I can afford to be reckless because I'm not going to ask for anybody's vote. For that reason, I want you to read the Constitution and make sure that when the Constitution says the election, as we did the last time, from bottom to top, will start in 18 months' time or 20 months' time, it's going to be done. And anybody who fails to maintain the respect of the Constitution and is thrown out, that is wrong. The chairman has just mentioned all those who left us to the upper house, waiting only for one, none of them was voted by constituency.
That is how far we can go on Abuja Dispatch this week. For further information, comments, and suggestions, you can reach us out on our various social media platforms. Thank you for allowing us to share your moments tonight on Abuja Dispatch. A week from now, we bring you another refreshing package. Adegboyega Arogbodo is my name. Bye for now.